President Trump and his full cabinet are meeting at Camp David this weekend. He's going to get a full briefing on Irma and the federal response from the acting DHS secretary at the top of the hour. Let's bring in Eliana Johnson, national political reporter for Politico. You have to imagine one of the things that the cabinet is going to be talking about is this deal that the president made over the past couple of days and then signed when he got there on Friday over really the objections of his Treasury Secretary.
I was going to say, I have to wonder if they're going to, if Steve Mnuchin's going to be weighing in on that in front of the full cabinet.
Well, we heard he certainly weighed in the Oval Office, so whether or not he continues his objections, we'll see if we get any reporting on that. Doubt that'll be in the readout. Big picture, though, you've got Hurricane Harvey and the pictures that came in and that were splashed across national media really sort of stun the nation in a way that we haven't seen in a while. Now you have Hurricane Irma coming. Is the president afforded a lot more political leeway in times like this to make these kinds of deals that before may have had a different impact?
I don't really think so. I think the president is under the microscope right now. He performed pretty well and was extremely engaged, particularly for this president, with Hurricane Harvey, and he appears to be tremendously engaged in the preparations for this next hurricane hitting Florida. The other thing I think is interesting is that this cabinet meeting at Camp David, it's really a retreat, is taking place right now. It's reflective of the fact, I think, that General Kelly, the new chief of staff, feels that the cabinet has been underutilized so far in the administration, and he's really trying, you know, like companies do, have bonding exercises. This is not just a cabinet meeting, but also a bonding exercise for the president and his cabinet. He's pushing the president to rely on his cabinet members more, and so it will be interesting to see if we see that happen more often going forward.
One would imagine there won't be any like get-to-know-you ropes courses or other types of bonding experiences at Camp David, other than the beautiful scenery out there. Watching video, just so our viewers understand, from a couple of weeks ago when President Trump went down to meet with victims of Hurricane Harvey there at the shelter in Houston, greeting some of the kids as well. So you say President Trump is under a microscope in some ways, and we're seeing the administration sort of put this narrative out there, that disaster response, these kinds of large, big presidential moments play pretty well into the president's strengths. He can act as an executive. FEMA and the military and DHS and everybody else does exactly what he tells them to do. He has a great relationship with both Rick Scott and obviously with Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas. And he seems to embrace that role as the commander-in-chief, the warner-in-chief, and the comforter-in-chief.
He's relatively strong at these made-for-TV moments. His weakness is at being, I would say, the comforter-in-chief and at showing empathy at big moments like this. That's where we've seen him struggle, but he certainly plays to the cameras and does a relatively good job. And I think what people tend to miss at these things is that the president can't do all that much. These are really, the president's going to Florida or to Texas earlier. They really are television moments, and they're reassurances to the state and to the country that he's active and present, but they're not all that much more than that.
Well, they're also a chance for him to really see the devastation firsthand, for him to show support for the first responders, for him to have the moments that we saw with those kids and interact with people as well. Obviously, there was the knock that he wasn't quite empathetic enough during his first visit to Texas. His second visit to Texas, though, very high marks for those interactions. Eliana, thank you very much for your insights. A lot more political reporting to come out of this. Obviously, now we have the deal on Hurricane Harvey relief. We'll see if there's going to be a deal for Hurricane Irma relief coming up. Thanks so much.